Hi all, hope all's well. In this video, we would like to describe the ARC model applied in Econometrics by Robert Engle. First of all, I would much appreciate to introduce our group study that we are coming from IPMI. IPMI International Business School is one of the pioneer in Master of Management Education in Indonesia. Now then, we are as a group study in corporate finance with the facilitator Professor Insinyur Roy Sembel, MBA, PhD, CSA. Our group consists of me, Harry, Danu, Rudy, and Chandra. Continue to the background of Robert Frank Littré. He was born in November 10, 1942. He is an American statistician and the winner of the 2003 Nobel Memorial Prize in Economic Science for methods of analyzing economic time series with time-varying volatility arc. Basically, this model was invented when there was a need to forecast volatility in the application of economic and finance. Before, the volatility was forecasted by simple approach using historical volatility. In this method, it is assumed that, for example, the volatility is constant for a period, such as 1 year ending today, and also it is constant for the year ending on the previous day, but with a different value. A theory of dynamic volatilities is needed. This is the role that is filled by ARC model. Well, further explanation about ARC model will be shared by my colleagues with focus on ARC model by Danu, application in finance by Chandra and Rudy, and then we will do conclusion at the end of the video. Hi Danu, most welcome.
Well, thanks, Harry. Hi, everyone. I'm Danu. In this section, we will be talking about the ARCH model. Actually, ARCH stands for Autoregressive Conditional Heteroscedasticity. I think this is a huge word, but I will try to explain definition of each word for easier understanding. Heteroscedasticity, in a simple word, means volatility or standard deviation or variance. Conditional means that the volatility of the time series is not fixed over time, depends on where we are. Then, autoregressive basically means that a value on a certain time point will depend on value of the previous day. In the other words, ARCH model will try to predict today's volatility based on volatility of some days ago. Okay, let's move to the mathematical formula for the ARCH model. Let the epsilon t denotes the error terms or the return residuals. This epsilon t is split into a stochastic piece omega t and a time-dependent standard deviation sigma t. Actually, this omega t is a white noise. Then, the volatility in period t, which is represented by variance in period t, will be defined as sum of weighted squared return residual from Q lag days. The squared return residual for each period t is represented by epsilon t, and weight of residual return for each Q lag days is represented by alpha t. It should be noted that the alpha value is somewhere between 0 and 1. Well, after knowing the mathematical formula, we will be wondering how to run this model. Actually, there are several steps. First, determine the best possible model of your problem. Second, fit the model to your historical time series data. Third, calculate your residual, meaning the deviation between actual data and forecasted data based on your proposed model. Fourth, do volatility clustering to determine how many lag days you want to involve in your ARCH model. Fifth, estimate the weight for each period. After doing forecast day by day, we can examine this forecast using different weights. The set of optimal weight can be found using procedure which based on maximum likelihood. And the last one, run the GARCH model so you are able to forecast the volatility of certain period of time. Okay, after knowing GARCH model and the calculation, let's see the application in finance, which will be presented by Chandra and Rudy. For the first part, it will be your time, Chandra.
Thanks, Danu. Before I mention the application of this art model in finance, let me say thank you to IPMI for this course and also Prof. Roy Semble as our facilitator. Okay then, art model and GARCH model, which is extension of art model, have become important tools in the analysis of time series data, particularly in finance application. These models are especially useful when the goal is to analyze and forecast volatility. Volatility is also important as it is something to consider when assessing the performance of a stock. It represents how risky a stock is, which needs to be considered for its risk profile. A high returning stock also means higher risk. The goals of volatility analysis must ultimately to be explained the causes of volatility. While time series structure is valuable for forecasting, it doesn't satisfy our need to explain volatility. Sorry for that. Yeah. The estimation strategy introduced for our models can be directly applied if there are predetermined or exogenous variable. Thank you. Pass through Rudy.
Well, good explanation, Chandra. Here he will be discussing about how ARCH model can be implemented in certain part of finance. One implementation of ARCH model in finance to better measuring value at risk, or it is simply called VAR. To calculate the VAR of a trading unit or a firm as a whole, it is necessary to have variance and covariance or equivalency for volatilities and correlations among all assets held in the portfolio. In conventional industry practice, to measure ND-VAR, it would be assumed that volatilities were constant. So, ND-VAR is simply measured by square rooting of n times S grade. Since the ND variance is at n times the 1-day variance, the ND volatility multiplier would be the square root of n. For example, if we want to measure 10-day VAR, then it is simply multiplying 1-day VAR with 3.16. However, this result misses important feature of dynamic volatility models. It will make difference whether the current volatilities are low or high relative to the long run average. Those using ARCH model, we can better estimate ND-VAR since accommodates dynamic volatility instead of assuming that the volatility is constant. I think that's all our explanation about implementation of ARCH model in finance. And I give it back to Harry.
Thank you for the explanation about ARC model. Essentially, ARC model have been applied in the wide range of time series analysis, but application in finance have been particularly successful. Financial decisions are generally based upon the trade-off between risk and return. The econometric analysis of risk is therefore an integral part of asset pricing, portfolio optimizing, option pricing, and risk management. We are in the end of the video. Thank you for watching this video and see you soon.